I think the biggest, and what I don't think I actually know, the biggest ally to our overall health, whether it's our mental health, our physical health, is the thoughts we think. Our thoughts direct every decision in our life. What we think we do become. And this has been scientifically proven. And it's something that hasn't been hit on in like the fitness space. It wasn't back in the time. I think more people are catching on. And I would say it's the key to anything to get out of that victim mentality, to create whatever relationship you want, to the finances you want, to the body that you want, the health that you want, the career that you want, is really this mental landscape and zip code. So I call healing words, healing mindset, really the fundamental leg to all of this. Welcome to the Danette May Show, where you'll receive profound breakthroughs, courage to break old patterns, and live into your soul's purpose. Each week, I will bring you epic guests and live coaching to remind you of your power. You have the ability to achieve extraordinary things, and the time to start is now. Hey loves, it's Danette, and welcome back to the Danette May Show. In this episode, I'm turning the mic around. I was interviewed by the beautiful Erica Lippy on her show, Passion, Love, Pursuit, and it was such a deep, heartfelt conversation. I knew I had to share it with you here. Losing everything, navigating grief and depression, to rising from the ashes and building a multi-million-dollar empire rooted in healing, intuition, and self-love. I share the 3 pillars that changed everything for me: movement, healing foods, and mindset, and how something as sacred as cacao helped me come back to my heart. We also talk about balancing motherhood, business, and what it truly means to live in alignment with your soul. This episode is for every woman who's ever wondered, can I rise from this? The answer is yes, and I can't wait for you to hear why. Let's dive in. Hey love, Danette May here. I've got a little surprise that just might make your day brighter. To celebrate you and the powerful sisterhood forming around the Danette May Show, I'm giving away 3 $100 Visa gift cards just to say thank you. Entering is simple. Step 1, follow the podcast, The Danette May Show. Step 2, share it on your socials and tag me at the Danette May. Bonus entries if you share each day, because your voice matters and every share spreads more love, healing, and empowerment into the world. On Tuesday, May 13th, we'll randomly choose 3 winners and send you a DM if you've won. So go ahead, share, tag, and let's spread the vibes of transformation together, because this isn't just a show. It's a movement, sending love.
Danette May, I am, like I said, so honored to share this space with you. This has been a long time anticipated interview.
I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. I know you wouldn't be here today if you didn't go through a lot of the things you have been through, but if you could summarize, because I know you do a lot of things, summarize where you are today, and then where did you basically come from? What was the position you were in before and how it led you into where you got today? And I know that you share this story a lot, but I think it will really get people to appreciate what you share today and really take in the value you share.
Yeah, I love how you frame this, because I think a lot of times we're thinking about where we came from first versus where we're at today. And I'm really unapologetic of where I'm at today, because I worked really hard to get here. And then I'll share like why I'm unapologetic of where I am today. So today I'm sitting with 3 businesses that are doing 8 figures. And I say that unapologetically because you'll hear in a minute why. But these businesses are way within my soul contract. I feel they're definitely things I would be doing whether I got paid or not. One being a superfood company called Earth Echo, where I feel I'm really called to bring these ancient forms of healing and foods to our modern busy world. And that's what the Earth Echo company is. And then we have our Fit Rise community, where everything started, which was around all the programs of where taking my mess and making my message. So it was like all around healing foods, movement, and mindset. And so there's all these different programs. There's been millions of people that have gone through these programs around the globe. And that's been where I started. And then it moved to the superfood company. And then we actually branched off the Danette May brand on its own, because I was getting book deals through Hay House Publishing and doing keynote speaking at different events. So I'm feeling super called to be sharing these metaphysical mindset practices that completely change people's lives, from their health to their relationships, to their finances, to them showing up in their soul's purpose. So that's where I'm at today. And I'm really excited about it. And I got here because of my refiner's fire and because of my downfalls. And like I said, I made my mess my message. And I want to speak to this because whoever's listening, if you're in chaos, congratulations, because out of chaos comes equal or greater good. Napoleon Hill said this, and I held on to that nugget when I was in the washing machine of chaos in my life. And I was going through a terrible divorce. I'd lost my son. had childbirth. And I went through this deep depression, which I had never been in before. I wasn't used to depression. When I say depression, it was a depression where I couldn't even go out to buy a loaf of bread for 3 months. I would tell my daughter what a curb was when she was little so that she wouldn't go past the curb on the street out front of her house because she wanted to go outside and it wouldn't go. I really was in that space. And then also I went through this terrible divorce, ended up with $47 to my name, which I found through couches and drawers. And I was just in this massive headspace of, am I going to amount to anything? What have I done? I'm a terrible mom. I'm a financial ruin. I had this negativity. I was by myself, the single mom. I'd sold all my furniture. I was sleeping on this mattress on the floor. I used a computer that someone had thrown out that was barely held to charge. I had to save every minute. And I really started experimenting. This is where I came up with these healing foods and movement because I was seeing that there were specific foods that were helping with depression. And not only were they helping me with brain fog and this depression and motivation, but I was watching as I was shifting my body. I was looking younger. I was like, whoa, my body's changing and I'm showing up in a spiritual way. I'm showing up in an energetic way. And then I really started harnessing my mindset and really shifting these stories that I had and these beliefs around who I am and what was I taught that I think I believe, but do I really believe that? And what do I choose in this life? And that's really where the main pillars came from and truly the catapult to me being in the dream in the world that I am, because it was my mess that really helped me wake up to the true gifts that lie in me.
And the whole thing about depression, I really relate to depression because I've had severe depression. When I was 15, I recall I actually was on Zoloft at this time. I don't know if it was 15 or 16, I can't remember, but I actually attempted suicide on Zoloft. And I'm here. But the fact is, I'm very familiar with depression. And when you're in it, you can't seem to even think of how to get out of it because it's such a dark cloud. And for anybody that's experienced depression, they could really relate to this, that you think to yourself, like, how could I get out of this? Because you're so debilitated pretty much by the depression. So I'm curious, since it wasn't familiar with you at the time, how did you work yourself out of this depression? I know you talked about the 3 pillars and we'll go deeper into that, but what was like the first steps? Because 3 months to just be bedridden, that's really hard. So I'm just curious how you position yourself to move through it.
Yeah. When I speak about depression, I recognize there's so many different layers to that word and different things that people are experiencing and to the depth of what they're experiencing, from chemicals in the body to different experiences that have been traumas from past. Obviously, my trauma was the loss of my son, which triggered it for me. So when I speak on this, I'm not discrediting whatever someone else's journey is, because I want to be very careful with that. Because I feel like people that deal with depression and anxiety are like some of the biggest heroes. And honestly, because I have children and my oldest is such a gifted empath and has these massive healing abilities. And I'm finding that there's almost a correlation between these people. And I'm like seeing 111 on my computer and I'm getting chills because I sense, and this is just me sensing, that these people that deal with this, that they're so needed. They're so needed because they have so many massive gifts for the planet. And they just can feel different. They feel into scenarios and they can see through things. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. But the first thing that I did personally was movement. And it's not like that's like an aha for anyone, but the last thing you want to do is move. And it's the greatest thing you can do, whether that's dancing, which dancing has huge ability to make you heal. But here's what I can say. You're not going to feel like doing it. You're just not, because you're in the depression. You have to just do it. If you're listening to me and you're dealing with this, you just have to do it. And that's where I was at. I would literally like slowly tie my shoes. I couldn't even figure out how to get my shoes on. I just thought I have to go for a walk around the block, and just getting out in nature, moving and walking. And some of you might be shuffling. I don't even care. Shuffle, dance your way, but get out in nature and move your body every single day, whether you feel like it or not. It really will make a difference. If you can also take your shoes off and plant it on the earth's soil, that's going to help as well. We got to remember who we are and where we came from. We are not this story. We are not this body. We are connected to every beautiful element in the external of nature. So just reconnecting with that can help also with just the different electrons in the body. And then from there, I really suggest healing foods. We do know that most foods actually create an anxiety response inside the body. They create inflammation and actually can add to the depression, add to the anxiety. And so I'm ruthless around foods, and I'm just going to give you a few that I think you should do for sure. And it's a big reason why I created Cacao Bliss, because even though I can't FDA claim that Cacao Bliss helps with depression, Everyone writes in about it helping with depression. And it's not like it's rocket science. All these superfoods combined, and cacao being that it's basically contains anandamide, the love molecule, literally can shift the brain wires and make you feel a sense of more euphoria, more a sense of love for self, love for life. So I definitely recommend raw ceremonial grade cacao with superfoods in it. If you don't want to get cacao bliss, you can make it yourself. I definitely recommend that. And then obviously reducing all white sugar, any canola or vegetable oil, those things are very inflammatory for the system. And gluten can increase anxiety and depression inside the body. Really learning about different foods that you can make. You can still have your bread, you can still have your waffles, just making sure that you're not using gluten, not using vegetable oil, and not using white sugar. Use coconut sugar, use other ingredients. But that would be where I would start.
And actually touching on food. So I think a lot of people, when they are depressed, of course, they go for the comfort foods. So we have to train ourselves to, this goes into the whole mindset thing, which we'll go deep into because I think mindset is the foundation of everything. But that's the problem is people, when they're in depression, they reach for the comfort foods. So if you want to get better, you have to make a conscious choice and go for the things that you normally wouldn't go. And I think that's where the mindset comes in. It's like, why are we doing this? What's our result? Do we want to stay in? I think some people, and I know some people, they are so attached to this victim mindset. They're so attached to being like somewhat comforted in their depression. It's really weird. I see people that really get attached to that because that's what they're familiar in.
Yeah.
So how does that person train themselves to go for the superfoods opposed to that comforting food, the ice cream or the bread or the pasta? What would you suggest?
Yeah, I think the first step is to change the language because we've been taught that's comfort food. When you want to feel comfort, what are you going to go to? Comfort food. Change the language. It's not comfort food. It's high anxiety, full on discomfort, feel bloated, feel like crap, puppy eyes food. Let's just change that language first because whoever came up with comfort food, I'm like, there's nothing comforting about it after you eat it. You feel like really changing up that language because the mind is so powerful. When we put a language to something, and that goes for us, when we say I'm depressed or I'm this or I'm that, you become that. When you put a word to foods, to anything, it becomes that. So changing that language first and being truthful. What are you eating? It is not comfort. You've been taught that, but that doesn't mean it's true. I don't know who came up with that word or where that came from, but we all know it. Somehow it got passed in the lineage of time. And so just changing that up and then going a really good warm cacao bliss hot chocolate feels comforting, actually.
Absolutely.
A really good healthy waffles feels really comforting. A really healthy cookie feels comforting, and really learning about these other foods and recipes and ways to make things that are actually going to be comforting for the system and taste good because you don't want to let go of pleasure when you're going into this realm because that's the first thing is like you want pleasure. This is what most people are seeking for is pleasure. And we are so good as humans to turn off this pleasure inside of ourselves. We think that to be healthy, we have to have bland chicken and broccoli. And the truth is that most of us are pleasure seeking human beings and we've turned it off. However much pleasure you can give yourself in a healthy realm, go for it. So that could be outside of food. Make a list of all the things that give you pleasure and do them from all the way to scandalous to bubble baths. I don't care. And give yourself that every single day. And then when it comes to food, there are so many foods that are so good. Acai bowls, delicious smoothies, chia pudding that I had this morning that I put granola in and all these yum and turmeric and ginger and all these spices in. And like I said, cacao bliss hot chocolate and these healthier cookies with almond flour. There's so many other things that are very pleasurable with a cup of tea that you can start incorporating and noticing that shift in your body.
I love that you first touched on changing the language you attach to, for example, the comfort food. I don't think a lot of people share that. And reality is, like you said, how do you feel after that? Be honest with yourself. You don't feel good. You feel bloated. You feel like gassy or whatever. You don't feel better. So I know when I eat healthy, I love healthy food like no other. It makes me feel so good and it tastes good. There are so many great, I know you share plenty of recipes that are so delicious. It's changing our mindset and the words we attach to it. I think that's brilliant. So going into the pillars that really transitioned your life, the trajectory of your life and also your mindset and getting out of depression, those three pillars, I know you've already touched on it, but why are these the three pillars that you think are the healing of everything?
Yeah, I've never had actually anyone ask me in that way, which is brilliant. I always look at it like a table, and I feel like there was always this industry of people teaching around healing foods for weight loss, foods for depression, foods for this. And then they would talk about exercise. in that same quadrant. But I think the biggest ally to our overall health, whether it's our mental health, our physical health, is the thoughts we think. Our thoughts direct every decision in our life. What we think, we do become. And this has been scientifically proven. And it's something that hasn't been hit on in the fitness space. I think more people are catching on. And I would say it's the key to anything to get out of that victim mentality, to create whatever relationship you want, finances you want, the body that you want, the health that you want, the career that you want, is really this mental landscape and zip code. So I call healing words, healing mindset, really the fundamental leg to all of this.
Yeah, I completely agree. And actually, over this weekend, I did UPW again with Tony Robbins. I don't know if you've ever done any Tony Robbins thing, but they talk about what brings us energy, and that's our cells. And a lot of people, when they're asked that question, they think food, they think breathing, which is one of them, but it's the quality of our cells. And what are those things that provide health to our cells? Is the movement, is the live foods, is the oxygen, is our mindset. So you truthfully have touched on the foundation of energy and vitality, is those
Yes,
pillars. It
absolutely.
is so important. And I think a lot of people, no matter what, when you move, you feel good, especially when you're out in nature. It's impossible to be out in nature unless you're really in a victim mindset and just negative Nancy, then yeah, you won't appreciate it. But honestly, like if you're actually present and appreciate the gift of this world, it's hard to feel depressed. So going into, I'm just curious. I drink cacao. I don't have your cacao bliss, which I need, but I do drink cacao elixir every single morning. Obviously, it's chocolate taste, so it is super delicious. But why specifically cacao? I know you touched on like the love hormone, but what is it about cacao that is so powerful?
Yeah.
Give us a little knowledge.
I am in love with this plant. And it's not just that Danette's in love with it and a few other people. This has been a plant that's been revered from ancient civilizations, from some of the most noble civilizations like the Mayans. They revered it more than precious golds and metals. And the reason is, and I'm just going to give you two nuggets around the science behind it, it has a chemical, one being anandamide. There's only two foods in the world that contain anandamide.
Wow.
Now, anandamide, when consumed, actually releases its oxytocin, and it actually releases this drop down so that you actually feel just like that feeling when you're making love, or that you have this extreme joy and euphoria. That's oxytocin. So it releases that naturally when you consume it. That's mind blowing.
Wow.
There's scientific proof of how when you consume this, not only do you get more clarity, not only can you drop into deeper meditations and visualizations and have downloads in the metaphysical, but the Mayans were building these massive civilizations. The Aztecs were building these massive, they were the ones with the stars and astrology. They were consuming cacao, and this is what was helping clear their pathways, but also helps you get into this state of love. You feel this sense of love. Try cacao bliss in a circle with your loved ones, or maybe even people you don't really love, but you want to get to know, and just watch as the conversation shifts. Just watch as the connection shifts. It has been proven scientifically. These are not just my words, and it's massively powerful. And then it also contains a chemical called theobromine, which is different than caffeine. So a lot of people think, oh, this has caffeine in it. Like I can't drink it before I go to sleep. No, most people that write in that drink cacao bliss, and granted, all the different cacao plants are a little different. Ours are cultivated in Peru in the indigenous way, ceremonial grade. So it's going to have a different frequency, but they literally are like, I sleep better. And it's because of the theobromine. Theobromine basically opens up all your cells so that your body floods with oxygen. And this is why I write all my books on it. Like I'll drink it in the afternoon, and when I'm like feeling a dip, because I can write, I wrote my book on it in 6 weeks. Like I was drinking every day. I was giving it to my editor every day. I am so amazed at that theobromine. And they've also seen that it's like taken Alzheimer's people and completely opens that brain pathway so that they literally have memory again. So this theobromine, not only does it help with focus, but it helps with energy. So you feel this high energy after a workout or before a workout without that crash of the caffeine. So to me, this is like one of the most miracle foods on the planet. And that's why I'm so in love with it, including all the 300 phytonutrients and all the benefits that are way higher than like acai or blueberry. That's,
Wow.
you don't want me to go on this forever because I'm so passionate about it.
I know actually I was scrolling through that specifically yesterday, and it's like pages and pages of information of why this is so powerful. So it was quite interesting. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's fascinating. And so what would be the other superfoods that you feel are the most healing that we should incorporate no matter what into our diet?
Hey, my loves, Danette here. And I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but I am the founder of Earth Eco Foods. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware of these amazing superfood blends that I personally alchemized and created to really bring not only just nutrition into my own home, but to my family and friends, and now to you all around the world. But when I created Earth Echo Foods, I wanted more than just delicious, nourishing superfoods. I wanted to do right by Mother Earth. I wanted Mother Earth to be our CEO. So we use only organic, environmentally conscious packaging. This is stuff I consume every single day, from the collagen to golden bliss to cacao bliss. Cacao bliss is so delicious if you love chocolate. So go to Earth Echo Foods and use the code to get up to 15% off your first order.
Yeah, I have some key ones that I really see that work really well across most people. One being cacao. There are a very small percentage where cacao is just too much for them,
Mm.
but that's really small. Most people do really well on cacao. Turmeric. Now, turmeric, I think, is the gold spice. For those of you who are new to the idea of turmeric, it's like a natural ibuprofen. It is so good for your system. It helps with the immunity. It helps with inflammation in your body. It has all these other effects on cancer and things like that. But turmeric is actually in cacao bliss, so you wouldn't have to take it. So balancing the hormones is always my goal. And so cacao, turmeric, ginger, I actually think your fats, you need to look at your fats really carefully. It's good for brain health, body function, libido, all those things I just mentioned. But a lot of times people are, because of the industry, a little nervous about fats. And what ones do I really have? And the industry really knows what to play up. So then they're also promoting fats that are actually bad for you and really toxic. So I would stay away from anything that's vegetable or canola oil. Canola oil is basically vegetable oil.
Yeah.
Really toxic in the system. Most chips, most crackers have those oils in it. So there are brands of chips, I like my chips, that will use an avocado oil or a coconut oil. You want to have that type of oil. And then really raw avocados, raw unsalted nuts. A lot of times you're just seeing roasted nuts everywhere. When you're consuming roasted nuts, you're basically just consuming a pile of toxins, because when they roast it, even though that's so yummy, it actually denatures the protein in that nut, and it goes inside of your system, and it's actually quite toxic. The cells have to go in overload to defend off the toxicity. So do raw nuts. So that's where I would start. Those are my biggest ones. And obviously white sugar. I don't even have that in my house.
That's a no-brainer. Yeah. I know, like, once in a while we could treat ourselves, have that dessert, but yes, it's like one of those staples you do not have in your diet.
I have to say this because I have a feeling someone's listening right now and they're like, yeah, but come on. Like, I follow these really professional fitness people that talk about balance and they look really good. And they're going to Starbucks and having a little mallow bar, or they're having these little sweets every day. And they call it like this comfort thing. And they say that this is balance.
Yeah.
I want to argue this. And I'm not speaking about anyone in general, because I see this in the health space quite a bit. It's not to say that if you were to be invited somewhere or you're traveling somewhere and this amazing woman made this beautiful cake and you're going to have it, that's different. But consuming white sugar every single day is actually not good balance. And you can have something sweet, just have it with coconut sugar, make it yourself. Don't go buy it from the store, because I guarantee these fitness people that talk about this, they have anxiety at night. I bet they're struggling sleeping at night, and they don't even equate it to that little treat that they're having every day. I'm talking not just about the body. I want people to walk around with mental clarity. I want people sleeping well. I want people making love and being connected in their body during lovemaking, and food all connects with that. So I just had to say that.
I think you talk about optimizing your health, which I'm so keen on. It's also making a choice. Like, what do we want out of our life? What is our end goal? And for me, I want to be healthy, vibrant. I want to be full of life, and I want to look young. That's my why. So it's asking yourself those important questions, I think. And if you want to say cheat sometimes, that's okay. Be mindful of the more you steer away from these healthy habits, these superfoods, live foods, and you're consuming things that are processed. If your goal is to be healthy, have vitality and energy and look young, you're not going to necessarily achieve that. And I know sugar is one of the most aging things, actually, besides stress. I think sugar ages you.
Actually, sugar is more toxic than smoking.
Hello, everybody.
If you ever want to learn more about sugar or cure yourself from sugar, read the book Sugar Blues. You'll be like, I'm not touching white sugar. I won't even let my kids, like, I get like cringy.
I
if
love
they're
that.
doing white sugar. And that's not to say, I want to change the language once again, because you mentioned cheat meal. As soon as you say cheat meal, you're assuming that you're a cheater. And what do we think of cheaters? Cheaters are bad people. Cheaters are not good people. So changing that up. For me, you can call it a free meal. You can call it something different. But for me, there's no shame. Like I said, if I'm traveling somewhere and someone made this amazing cake, I'm going to probably have a piece because I know it was made with love. And if I want to have it, sometimes I won't want to have it, but There have been times I've been in countries where the pastry, I'm like, come on, this is actually going to be really good for me than not, because it's just made with such a different energy and I'm not going to have it every day. So I don't ever think twice about that. And you will see me eating those things when I'm out and about on those random times I'm traveling.
Yeah. And actually, this is something I'm just going to share because I'm trying to find a new food for my dog. And this is the power of food. They say dogs, or I don't know if cats are in this, but dogs over 10 years, they are, what was it, 80 or 90%? I forgot the percent, that chance of getting cancer. And I truly believe it's because of the food they eat. And one thing I was noticing, because I was looking at all these dog foods and I'm looking at all the ingredients, very commonly they're made with canola oil. And you just described that's one of the most toxic type of oils and causes inflammation. So hello, everyone. Even consider you love your dog just like your kid. Look at their food, what they're consuming, because truly it does matter. And my dog was just diagnosed with lymphoma. And I'm just like so angry at myself for not noticing these things. So once ignorance is not bliss, the things you're sharing, it's because you dedicated your life to finding the right solutions to things and how people could live this healthy, vibrant life. And I know you talk a lot about self-love. And so maybe if we could transition just a little bit into this, because I really want to touch on this. How do you cultivate self-love? How did you, going from that depressed state you were in and losing a child is probably one of the worst things that could happen to somebody, and divorce. So how did you get out of, I don't know if you ever blamed yourself or anything of that nature, but how did you start to cultivate your self-love again?
Yeah, I did blame myself for a while because I like little nudges to go to the hospital, like something could be wrong. And I was so good at turning off my intuition because it got me to where I was. Like I had been turning off my intuition all the time leading up to that point where I was not even being honest about my relationship. I wasn't even being honest about what I believed in because I wanted to fit into the mold of the world I had created from what my family wanted from me, my community, the family I had just created for myself. And I've thought about this moment a lot because if I would have turned on my intuition then, that means I would have had to listen to a lot of things that I was shoving down. A lot of it's subconscious. There was a time when I blamed myself, and I think that's what led a lot to that depression. And then I really started to, and it wasn't overnight. And that's the thing is like people hear of these moments later like that for people. And I'm like, no, that wasn't mine. I was like this, going into my valleys, going into my highs. If I were to speak on self-love, the greatest thing that's really been working for me on love, because it is still a daily practice. It still is this thing of where, whoa, check in. Am I really honoring myself? And what I noticed for me, there's two things. When I'm disciplined, now I think a lot of times people hear the word discipline and they think of spanking or punishment. And I want us to change that word for a little bit. When I show up to my word for myself, it increases my self-love. So what does that look like? When I say I'm going to write like whatever, 10 minutes every single morning because I have a book that I want to put out in the world. When I show up every day in that 10 minutes, that's discipline. Because trust me, there are times when you don't want to do it. I increase my self-love. I'm showing up for me and my commitment and my impeccable word to myself. If I said I'm going to work out today, I'm going to work out today. I'm going to be as honest to myself as I am to somebody else. And that isn't being impeccable. To me, that's the ultimate impeccable of the word. And that translates with time into deeper, more profound love for yourself. Because you're choosing you. You're choosing your goals. You're choosing to show up even when you don't want to show up for yourself. That's the first one. And then the other one is intuition. The more I've tuned into my intuition and said yes to it versus, well, that's not the popular thing, or am I going to be liked for that? Or that feels a little weird. That if I tune into my intuition, and at first, like I told you guys, I wasn't tuning into it. I was like turning it off. The more and more I've tuned into it and responded to it, my love for myself, it just keeps expanding. It's when I turn it off and I just disregard it and I choose somebody else's will over what intuition is telling me, that's when the self-love gets a little wobbly. And I think a lot of you guys can relate to this, and maybe even you, like when you feel wobbly within yourself, oh, I don't know how I feel about myself right now. I'm feeling like, who are my true friends? What, my lover love me? Am I beautiful? Whatever the thing is, it's usually because you haven't been showing up in the intuitions of what your next best move is, or what is the thing you choose and the thing that's showing up for you in your resonance. Do you need that soul day? Do you need to write? Do you need to exercise? Do you need time away from certain people, and honoring it? And then that's how the love just keeps increasing.
So beautiful. I think that is so important. I think the number one thing that also helps our confidence is staying disciplined to what we tell ourselves we're going to do. That is the number one way to build confidence too. And completing things. So both of those are great. So I'm curious, what do you do specifically to get you more in tune with your intuition, your heart, your authentic self? What are your practices?
First, take this little sucker and the computer sucker and turn it off. Nothing zaps intuition more than social media. Nothing zaps intuition more than you answering every text message that comes your way and every email that comes your way and every Slack that comes your way. The world is noisier than it's ever been. And it's literally, I believe the world is going to be ruled by those who have followed their intuition versus those who just got swept into the agenda and the media agenda, whether that's social media, national media. Turn it off. Turn off the news, turn off your social media, and turn off your email. And I'm not saying always, I'm just saying you need to have a ritual and time where you're tuning into you. So I do soul writing every morning. This has changed everything for me. And that is where I dedicate time when the sun is coming up, a lot of times before the sun, just depending on when the family's waking up, because this is my time. No one gets to ask about cereal. No one gets to ask about lunch or what's the plan or blah, blah, blah. This is my time for my own intuition. That means back in the day when my kids were younger, because they can smell when someone wakes up. I swear they smell it. They don't hear it, they smell it. And I would get up really early because I knew I needed to be able to have that time. And that's the sacrifice I made. And it's so worth it. It's really getting into writing and saying, what would you have me know? Communing with yourself, communing with a higher power, having that sacred time before you turn on your phone, before you turn on any other buddy's agenda. And then the second thing would be to get out in nature every single day. This is a non-negotiable for me. And not getting out in nature and scrolling or listening to music. You could listen to music if it draws you closer into your heart, but really noticing. When's the last time anyone's gone out and walked and just looked at the leaves blowing in the wind, looked at and heard the sounds of the different animals and looked at the grass and really was present with nature while you're moving? That is also increases intuition.
Oh, I love that. Both those things are so powerful. I don't do the journaling, which I think that I'm going to definitely take you up on that, because it's a beautiful way to just ask ourselves these empowering questions of like, what do I need today? And it's just really downloading that. And actually, I remember, I think it was a week ago, I decided to, because sometimes when I'm walking out in nature, I double up my tasks. So sometimes I'll prepare for an interview or whatever it may be. So I'll be listening to things while I'm walking. And thankfully, I'm in nature. I'm really enjoying it. But the other day, I decided to not bring my phone. Now, I was just walking my dog, but I've been struggling with this one thing, wondering the direction I should go. Let's say for months, keep on questioning, is this the right thing to start with? This is a program that I'm going to put, online coaching program. And I didn't know, I have several that I'm trying to do, and I was going to go with this one. And I kept on thinking, is this the right one to start with? Finally, on that walk, I had a download that said, no, that's not the right one to start with. You should start with this, because this is where you could serve the best. Dude, I was literally fighting this for months because I wasn't like giving myself the space. Even though I don't do meditation, I didn't give myself the space to get that download. And thank God it happened. So that's the beauty, what could happen in nature. And I think there's nothing more rewarding we could give ourselves. So I love that you share that in the soul writing.
Story. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. It was something I needed. The other thing I wanted to ask you, self-love piece. So is there something else that you feel we should do to help, like with the mindset, to help us transition our words? Is there something else you recommend that we should do to switching our words into the right empowering statements?
Yeah. One thing that I did, and I do it occasionally now just for maintenance mode, but back when I was still rubbing pennies together, I was making progress on my journey. I wouldn't say I was in the downfall of it. I really want to go to the next level. So I did a negativity detox. And what this is basically for 7 days. And for those of you who are like, 7 days is too long, do 3. Okay. Because I don't want you to not do it. You basically, the first day, take inventory of all the negative thoughts that you are having, anything that's negative. And you're just catching yourself. It's one day of, whoa, you might shock yourself, because I was super shocked at how much negativity and just around random things. And then what you're going to do on day 2 is you're going to and you're having grace for it. You're like a little curiosity, little bee on the wall. Okay. You're not like getting down on yourself. You're just staying in that curiosity, observing, whoa, okay, this is what I say to myself. This is what I say about this situation. This is what I'm saying about this and this. And then what you're going to do the second day is you're going to continue to observe. But then once you say something negative, for example, maybe you say something negative about the weather. Let's just use, because people do this, like, it's such a rainy, cloudy day. Like, why do we need to say that? You're going to exchange it with 2 positives. So you're going to just say it, give yourself grace. I just said that in my mind. I just said that out loud, whatever way you said it. And then you're going to paraphrase it with two positives. You're retraining your brain to change the languaging. Okay. So you're going to do this for a full, ideally 7 days, and you would be amazed at. And I would take you guys for a bonus round. At the beginning of this week, write down an intention that you would like to see come to fruition into your awareness, and then do this negativity detox. And watch as by day 7, day 8, 9, 10, this intention starts to come into reality, because you are going to attract the frequency that you hold. And this is a statement that I got in soul writing. I don't even know if it's out there somewhere else, but I got it in soul writing. And it was, your frequency is more powerful than your strategy. And I needed that for business. I needed that for being a mom to teenagers. My frequency is everything in everything I'm creating externally.
It's true.
And yeah, so that's why negativity detox.
Yeah, I love this saying that we don't manifest what we want, we manifest who we are. And that's the frequency piece, is truly the only way to receive what we want in our life is we need to match that frequency. We need to be in the same vibration of what we want.
And usually what we desire is a frequency of joy, is a frequency of curiosity. It's a frequency of childlike wonder, euphoria. And a lot of us are going, if I manifest what I am, what am I? And it's just seek the things that light you up. And that's how you choose your frequency. And you just go in that direction. And that's the curiosity direction. And watch as the world becomes this amazing, wonderful, and manifesting miracle.
Yeah. And you probably touched on several of these things, because we already know that movement is one of your things, being out in nature. But what else inspires you?
For me, I love culture. I don't know what's inside of me, but anytime, let's just say if things are high in my life or just mediocre or even low, doesn't even matter what spectrum, put me on a plane and drop me into a new culture, a new place. My frequency goes through the roof. My excitement, my joy. I love the new smells, the architecture.
Curiosity.
Yes. Yeah. Put me even in the indigenous tribes where I sit on the ground and I eat corn for a week. I'm like a child. I'm like so lit up. So that's my food.
I love that. I completely agree. I feel like a child again, in so much joy when I see something new. I think we should constantly indulge in new experiences, because it's like bringing out the childness in us, because the child always sees something new, right?
Yeah, that's what my husband always says. We don't buy things. We use our money for experiences. And that's how we've lived our life. Our house is so minimalistic, and we just don't do a lot of lavish external stuff. Not to say that's wrong, but I'm like, God, I just don't care about things. I care about experiences.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the things we remember. Like we remember experiences. Absolutely. Yeah. Remember that time, and you'll put a smile on your face just by remembering it. The other thing I was going to ask you is, you are a very successful entrepreneur. Like you said, you have 3 companies, and you're a mom and you're a wife. How do you make the time? I know you did talk about your morning routine, and I think morning routine, morning ritual, however you want to call it, is so essential. But how do you make the time? Like, how do you make sure that is a priority in managing all these things? And how do you manage all these?
It's a great question. And sometimes I feel like I'm losing my rocker. I do always have my morning routine, and I have my evening routine. Those are constants. Doesn't matter if I'm on vacation, traveling, whatnot. I have my beginning and my end that is mine. And I do think that's a structure and a base for all of it. But the second thing that I did, I had this organizational person that my husband hired, because I'm not the most organized person. There's thousands of unread emails. You'll actually find 1,000 unread texts. Drives my husband's crazy. So he brought this woman in, and I didn't know I'd get this gift, because for me personally, family's first. And even though I'm so driven by business and it lights me up and I love talking business, if I feel that I am not showing up for my kids, it throws off my effectiveness in business. So she said, do this, because I realized, so first you find out what is your family's love language, each individual. So they have kid love languages. They're free online, 5 love languages. Find out what your husband or your partner or whoever's love language is. And that will let you structure. So what I found was that every single mine is quality time, and that's the least for me. So what does that mean? If I do a family get together, do they feel connected? No. And I was doing that. I was like, oh, we have family day. We have family weekend. We have this. They were not feeling filled up. So then she said, what you're going to do before you schedule anything is you're going to sit down with them and be like, when do you want one-on-one time with me? And we sit down with the calendar. That, my friends, will change everything in your relationships with those who need quality time. And if it's service, you're going to figure out, where can I serve and what can I do that week to serve them? If it's words of affirmation, When you would write in your calendar, I'm going to write a letter to XYZ on Monday morning and put it in their bag or put it whatever. You're filling it in on those love languages and you let them know, okay, I'm scheduling this, right? And then I schedule everything else around it. So first them, then me, which I know sounds a little backward, but I already have my morning and my evening, okay?
Yeah.
But then
You already
it's
have those
me after
anchors.
that. Yeah, it's like my nature time. And then it's the meetings. And then it's the creative time. And I think most people do the meetings first. Most people are scheduling around it and trying to figure out when, or they'll go the activities or get scheduled, like when I have to take my kid here or there, literally just being in control and saying everything else goes around it.
Wow. I love that. I do think those 5 love languages is so important to know what your partner or your family, like you said, you could even find it out about your kids. I think it's so important to know that. I'm curious. I'm going to come in here and be a little quiet when I say that. So, what would you recommend for being woman to woman if our partner or husband or whatever is in the midst of business success? How do you let them know that possibly your love language is quality time? How do you let them know it's what you need in the most
Oh,
nice?
just okay. First off, it's like understanding what you desire first. So understanding, okay, I took the test. Mine is quality time. Let's just use it on you. What is your love language? Do you know?
Quality time.
Okay, yours is quality time. And most likely, if you're not feeling fulfilled on it, that's not his, because that's how my family, I was swapped.
Right.
That's like the least for me. And they all were like looking at me like, I'm feeling unfulfilled. And I'm like, how are you not feeling fulfilled? But I'm like, oh, I wasn't giving him quality time. So first is understanding, okay, what would that look like? So you do all the homework first. What does the quality time look like? What could he do that would make me feel filled up? Is it this? And have a variety of scenarios. Okay. And then what you're going to do, and this is what me and my spouse do, is we have a ritual so that there isn't this awkward conversation at the beginning of being like, so we got to talk about things. We have a standing meeting every week where we like check in and it's like neutral ground. It's a check in. What you're going to do initially is you're going to just be like, hey, I was wondering, I would love to give you love in the way that you receive it. So you're going to like basically let them know you want to show up better for them. And you were like, hey, I've been wondering if I'm actually showing up in the way that you can actually receive. Do you mind if we do this test? Because sometimes it can shift. And even if you've done it a year ago, I would do it again. And that makes it fun. And then I would say, hey, looks like I'm quality of time. And can I find out first from you, what can I do based off your love language that would make you do it? You have some ideas and then jot them down. And then most likely they're going to say, what could I do to make you feel loved in your quality time? You see how I'm turning it to them versus you going, I don't feel fulfilled. I'm feeling like you spend all this time at work and I'm over here and I'm just not feeling filled up. I know you give me all these beautiful things and you do things I don't want to do. I appreciate that. You just have to like really shift it, right?
Yeah.
And let them know what you appreciate and then also what they could do to actually have you receive it and have it seep in the cells.
I love that. That's so great. And that's what we do is instead of it should be every week, but we have something called that like when we summit. So it's this holding this space to talk and actually like being able to hear what your partner is feeling. And you talk about different subjects, but of course you touch on relationship because throughout the week when they're busy and you start talking about relationship this or how you're feeling, it's not received as well. So when you create this container or this time, like you said, once a week, I think that's so important. And we have a summit this Sunday. Yeah, I think it's so great to hold the space for that. And so going back to, because you're America's leading lifestyle expert, I know you probably get the question all the time, how do you stay motivated?
Motivation is not given just to a few. Motivation is created. And that's the biggest myth that a lot of people think, oh, some people just have more of that motivating gene inside of them. And I just wasn't gifted with that. And it's not true. For me, it's the foods I eat. It's honoring me. It's getting out in nature, like nature. I can't speak it enough. Your food either makes you energized or it makes you tired, bottom line. So I don't look at food as good or bad. I look at, is this going to edify me? Is this going to give me the energy of the things I want to actually accomplish? Is this going to make me feel more sexual? No? Okay, I'm not eating it. So I look at food like that because that is helpful. Moving your body obviously generates energy. So if in the morning you can jump and shake, and I know Tony talks about this, he calls it priming, but like jumping and shaking your body when you're feeling like low on energy versus coffee is so much more powerful than coffee. Try cacao, things like that are the things that I've been doing.
Yeah, that's great. And if you were to share one piece of advice that you feel anybody listening right now needs right now in the space they're in, wherever they are in their time, in their life, what would that be?
The thing that's coming up, and I'm always thinking of this woman that might be driving in her car. She's like listening to this, is speak kind words to yourself. really get in the practice every day to say loving words to yourself. They've been called I am affirmations. I am loving. I am worthy. I am happy. I am successful. I am enough. Start speaking over yourself. Anoint yourself. Give yourself what you need through your words. That would be the greatest thing I could offer.
I could go on, but I want to honor your time. So thank you so much, Danette. You are an absolute gem and you have so much wisdom to share. So I want people to learn more about you and, of course, dive into your programs and all the greatness you share. Thank you.
If you're looking for really high level coaching on how to really maximize life, how to live a successful life, to accumulate more wealth, to have a better communication, better relationship with their significant others, and to navigate life in a more peaceful, rounded way, then this is the place to go. Click the link below. Don't hesitate. Let's have you join us. We will welcome you with open arms and you will start to see results in as little as 30 days. Sending you all my love.